students, we're going to quick review the TPCASTT kind of guidelines. You're still going to be taking the summative. It will be digital in an online format, but I just want to make sure that you are reviewing TPCASTT and you remember kind of what the different pieces are. So, remember that title is our first T. A good example of a title prediction might be, based on the title, I think love story will be about how a couple first meets. So remember, you want a prediction beyond just what the title says. So a bad example would be, the poem Love Story will be about a love story. Or I think the poem Sea Lullaby will be about the sea. You need to make some kind of prediction outside of what the title says. So be sure to do that. We have paraphrase next for our P. Remember, paraphrase is putting things into your own words. So for each stanza, you are going to paraphrase. So here, for example, the artist talks about all the things in life that makes them happy, including her mother's photo album. A bad paraphrase might be good stuff. It's not very specific. Doesn't really encompass what maybe a paragraph would say. You don't even need to know what that stanza of the poem is. Just saying good stuff, we know that that's not enough. Alright, we have connotation next. So remember your similes, metaphors, example, etc. So one example might be, her hair drifted like the breeze. This simile compares the woman's hair with the wind to show it is flowing. So we have three parts here. We have the quote, we have a label that it is a simile, and we are explaining what that means. Now the difference with this test, and I'll explain it on my test expectations, is that you will be able to use your poetry notes. Obviously you'll have access to the internet. My hope is that you can just go back and use your poetry notes, but I don't want to make it unfair for anyone. So just know that, yes, you will have access to your poetry notes, and you can use those on the test to look up different figurative language and sound devices. A bad example of connotation would be just giving the quote. You need to make sure to label and explain, especially now that you have access to your notes. Attitude. So the attitude of the poem is nostalgic because the speaker misses a lot of things from their previous life. We have that attitude word there of nostalgic. It's an emotion. A bad example would be, the poem's attitude is all about friendships. Friendships is not an emotion word. You're just giving me a summary of the poem here. So make sure to pick an attitude word like loyal, happy, loving, complete, etc. Another bad example would be giving me multiple attitudes. So, for example, the speaker is happy, but also sad and sometimes regretful and moody. So make sure to kind of narrow it down to one, maybe two. We have shifts for S. Remember, a shift is a place in the poem where things change. Okay, so things are going to shift and change. So for example, the quote for this poem where it shifted was, but all these things I loved before. So I quoted where it shifted, and then I explained it. I said the speaker puts aside material things to follow the man of her dreams. So that's what the shift is. And then I said the reason I know this is the shift is the key word but. Okay, so that keyword, we mentioned when we first learned TPCASTT that there are keywords that indicate shifts, such as although, however, but, etc. A bad example of a shift would be missing any one of those three things: the quote, the explanation, and or the keyword. All right, title. So this song title, Love Story, refers to the metaphorical love between Romeo and Juliet, and the narrative the singer went through to find her true love. So that's a good example. I tied back to the title, Love Story. A bad example would look like, the poem is about a boy. So this example says the poem is about a boy who loves a girl, pursues her, and ends up marrying her. This is more of a summary of the poem. You don't talk about the title in here at all. So this is just a summary. Make sure to tie it back to the title and what the meaning of the title is. All right, and finally, theme. So a good theme might sound like this. The theme of the poem is to pursue love even through life's obstacles. A bad theme might say the theme is love because a boy loves a girl and they want to get married and then he finally gets down on a knee and proposes. That's just giving me another summary of what the story is. Yes, you used that big idea of love, but you didn't tell me a universal life lesson about it. You have to have something that is applicable to everyone instead of just summarizing what the poem is about. So we already went over this review in class. Hopefully this review kind of helps refresh what TPCASTT is. I will be posting my specific expectations for the test, so be on the lookout for that. But for today, there is just this review. I also have posted a poem as an example. So I posted the poem itself, and then I posted my TPCASTT example of it. So you are able to look at that. You can either do the TPCASTT on your own and see if it closely matches my ideas, or you can just look over my example. Whatever helps you review for the test tomorrow, that's what I want you to do. So email me with any questions and prepare to take this online tomorrow.